Hi, Tiernan here from Key Catalyst. Welcome to another video from the Marketing Doctor. Today we're talking about designing a sales process that you can trust and delegate. Two important words in the title are trust and delegate. Trust meaning it becomes somewhat predictable. Delegate meaning other people can get involved and you as the founder of your business aren't the only person responsible for dealing with sales calls. I like to break sales down into three different things, and we're going to be specifically talking about sales calls. So anything that requires someone to be on a face-to-face call or on requires someone to be face-to-face, not on a face-to-face call. So it requires someone to be face-to-face, so in-person sales, or it requires you to be on a Zoom call or Google Meet sort of video call, or calling over the phone. Three things are important. And I like to break it down into three things. So we've got before the call, during the call, and after the call. Before the call, during the call, and after the call are the three things that we want to break this down into. Each of these have different goals and each are super important. The most of the time when I work with companies, the only thing that they're interested in is during the call, and they've completely forgotten about the before the call and after the call, which is where arguably the more important things happen. So let's start with before the call. So before you have a sales call with someone, what's your goal? Your goal is to maximize show up rate. So how many people book in for the call that actually end up joining you on the call. You want to maximize show up rate, and then I also like to think about this as maximizing cancellations. So funnels are not infallible. People get through funnels that should not get funnels and end up booking onto calls. And the thing that is going to annoy your team most is not going to be cancellations. It's going to be people getting on a call that clearly are not the right fit. They're not the ideal fit. They're never going to purchase. So I also like thinking about it as maximizing cancellations. What I do not want is ghosts. So I don't want people where they don't show up and I don't know why they didn't show up because they didn't tell me. I want to make it super clear who the call is for, who it's not for. So 80% of people show up and 20% of people cancel, or as close to 20% as possible, rather than no showing and me not knowing what's happened to them. So how do we do that? First thing is back to ICP, and again I always come back to this. Are we super clear on our landing pages that the ICP who we have as the ICP, the ideal customer profile in our mind, are we using the right language? Are we clearly targeting the right people so that those people feel like they should show up to the call? Or are we all being a bit vague and it's not really clear who it's for? So go back to ICP. Do you work on your ICP? Do work on the language that you used, and then deploy that in the copy on your funnel. Cool. Next thing is what we want to do before the call is SMS reminders. Assume that people have no idea that they booked in a call with you, and you have to do your best to remind them why they've booked the call and when the call is and how they should access the call. Rather than you have a call booked with Tiernan at Key Catalyst, it's like you have a call booked with Tiernan at Key Catalyst at this time on this date to discuss this topic, and here is the joining link. And I'll send people that 3 times before the call. I'll send them it when they book, I'll send them it on the morning of, and I'll send them it an hour before the booking happens or before the call happens. So SMS reminders. You can also just add email reminders in here. Fine. We're going to talk about something a bit different now, which is it maximizes show up rate, but it also serves another purpose, which is personalized messages. What we want is when people come to our call, we want them to be ready to buy. We want the right people to come ready to buy, and they've just got 1 or 2 objections that need to be handled. So before the call, I'm going to send everyone a personalized voice message or video message saying that I'm looking forward to the call. What that does is it makes it, SMS reminders are great and they serve a function and can be automated, but people also like people. So I'm going to send them a message as soon as they book in, or as close to it as possible, just saying looking forward to the call on Thursday. By the way, before we have the call, I want to make sure that you can come to the call as informed as possible about the program that we're selling, about the product that we're selling. And so I've compiled some resources that I would be great if you have a look at. It's only going to take you 5 minutes to look at them. Can you look at them before? What that does is it's going to maximize show up rate or cancels, because people are going to look at this and say, oh shit, this is really not for me, not interested, cancel, too expensive, going to cancel, not the right time, going to cancel. Great, that's okay. For those people who read the resources, they now come to the call ready with some questions, rather than coming to the call being like, I just heard about it, sounds good, don't really know what it is. They come to the call, again, ready to buy in a way, so we can now maximize the offer rate on the call. Let's double check if there's anything else that I would like to mention from before the call resources. We will talk about one other thing, but we'll talk about it as during the call. Just to recap, before the call, our goal is to maximize show up rate and maximize cancellations. So I want an 80% at least show up rate, and I want the minimum number of ghosts, people I don't know what they've done and why they've done it. If you ghost, if you don't show up to the call, I'm going to send you emails and texts to find out why, because things happen, but let's not just forget about these people. When someone books the call, I'm going to add automatic SMS reminders telling them when the call is, why they're having the call, who it's with, and how they can join if it's an online meeting. I'm also going to send them personalized video or voice messages. Personalized meaning I've read through their application, I know what their name is, I know when our call is and what time it is, and it clearly isn't automated. In that message, I'm going to tell them I'm going to shoot them across some resources so they know everything they need to know about the product or service before they buy. During the call, have a script. Remember, we're not just talking about maximizing our sales process here, we're talking about maximizing and being able to delegate and trust our sales process. So you need a script, and you need a script that people actually follow. The script is something we'll talk about in another video, but just make sure that you've got one that people follow. So calls are standardized. Record your calls so that you can look at the ones that went well and the ones that didn't go well and work out why. And one thing I'll just say that you don't want to do on your call is coach. You don't want to coach. You're not trying to prove yourself or your product. Remember, that's what all this is supposed to do. It's before the call that all that's supposed to happen. Your offer, the thing that you're offering them, and how you portray that before the call is supposed to do 90% of the work. This is basically the during the call section is people wanting to put a face to a name, wanting to see who you are before they send you a few £1,000, and maybe they've got one or two very specific questions, so you're going to give them. What people do whenever they start taking sales calls for the first time is that they just talk all the time. They want to prove themselves that they can sell. They want to be in control of the conversation, and so they just talk the whole time. The person who talks more in the sales call loses. Your job is to listen and work out what this person's objections are, if they still have objections, and deal with them. So the essential components: you need a script, you need to record it, and your script also needs to include objection handling. Most people only have the same 5 objections, and you'll find out what those 5 things are for your own programs, but usually it's the wrong time, it's too expensive, they need to speak to someone else about it, or they've got one really weird specific niche thing that no one could have thought of, but they think it's super important for them. So have scripts for objection handling and have scripts for the call itself. Make sure they talk more than you talk, and don't try and coach on the call. That is everything. Just a bonus point on this: you want to keep track of the objections that come up so that you can deal with the objections before the call. Those objections are going to be the things that the people who are yet to speak with you have. They already have thought about it. What you want to say is, I'm already in the back of your mind, I know what you're thinking. Everyone thinks these things, that's fine. So in this personalized voice note that I send, I'll say, here's some resources. It also answers a lot of the questions that people have before they get on calls with us, so just take 5 minutes and have a look at them. So you've already handled that objection before they get on the call, or you've added more context to it at least. After the call, maximize close rate. If we've made them an offer, we're trying to make sales now. How are we going to do that? I like a personalized voice note again after the call, later on in the day or the next day. I like a deadline. So they can't just buy it whenever. The idea is that they have to buy it by a specific time. You can also do things like fast action bonuses then, or reasons that they should buy within the next 24 hours so that you can improve the speed at which people buy. What you also want here is closure, and I don't mean that in the same way as close rate. You want to make it clear on the call that the outcome of this whole process is yes or no. Again, all we care about is data. We don't want people who ghost. We don't want people who we don't know what the outcome has been. So the outcome is closure. So after the call, the goal is closure. And they should already know that from the beginning of the call. Last point on maximizing your close rates is to make it easy. If you send them the link to buy, and you can do this on the call, or you can do it after the call, depending, it shouldn't take them to 3 different landing pages where they then have absolutely no idea where they're supposed to put their money in, and they also wanted to look at the T's and C's, but you didn't make it easy for them to look at the T's and C's. It needs to be super simple, thinking about it in the same way we think about any funnel. It needs to be really easy for people to click on the link that you send them to buy and just add their card details. Don't try and confuse the process. Last bonus tip before I jump off. This applies to being on the call as well as after the call. And with my horrible writing, it says don't lose the sale. What that means is this happens more so on calls rather than after. If someone is ready to buy from you, have them buy and be ready for them to buy. Don't decide that you need to finish the rest of your script. Don't decide that you need to handle objections that they haven't even brought up. If they say that they're going to buy, let them buy there and then, because you've already decided that they're a good fit and that's how they've gotten to this point. Once you feel like they're going to buy, don't start doing mental gymnastics in your head around how you have to deal with the rest of the objections, and don't get cocky and start just talking about random stuff, because you might just say the wrong thing at that point. If someone is ready to buy and ready to give you money, make it easy for them to do it, and then don't convince them not to do it. So we've spoken about designing a sales process that you can trust and delegate, focusing on before the call, during the call, and after the call.